All right, welcome back, everybody, to the That's God podcast. My name is Dave Burr, and I am thrilled to be your host today because we have an awesome guest in the name of Fernando Figueroa from the Anti-Trafficking Bureau based in the Dominican Republic. And he's going to come on and tell us his exploits into human trafficking, sex trafficking, organ trafficking, the training that he does, and things like that. But before he does, I want to tell you a quick story about myself and how I started getting involved. And really, I started getting a prompting from the Lord about a year and a half to 2 years ago to somehow get involved in human trafficking. And when you start hearing that, it's like, I have no idea how that would even take place. And so maybe my job was just to provide awareness, and maybe what this podcast is doing just that. And if it goes any further than that, I don't know. I'm just kind of leaving it in God's hands to see what he has in store. But anyways, I started doing some research on who I could talk to locally here. I have a buddy that's in law enforcement, and he gave me a contact from the local FBI. And I thought, well, that'd be cool. I could get in with them, and I can blur faces, and I can disguise voices and things like that. And it'd be great to get to hear their view on what human trafficking is like up and down I-5, which is where I live here on the West Coast here. But that name that he gave me, I got passed off to somebody else, and I got passed off to somebody else, and eventually you find yourself at the back door, right? And I've come to the conclusion that it's very difficult to find people that are in the know, that are willing to talk, and that are involved in human trafficking or anti-trafficking. And so that's why I'm thrilled to have Fernando with us today. And so, Fernando, let me bring you on. And welcome, my friend. It's great to have you here.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So I kind of want to find out a little bit more about you, from where you grew up and things like that. I know you grew up in New York. And did you grow up in New York City, or was it upstate?
Yeah, in the five boroughs: Bronx, Manhattan. The five boroughs, basically, in New York.
Yeah, gotcha. And is that where you started learning where you started learning martial arts and things like that? Because that's a big part of your training.
Yes, and martial arts. And then from martial arts, got into combatives, and then I'm an instructor now, but that wasn't my goal. I do it soon on to make ends meet, so I can keep doing anti-trafficking efforts.
Yeah.
Because I left everything behind in New York just to do this. So to make ends meet, I became a martial arts instructor or combatives instructor.
Yeah. Well, as we get into this, we'll talk about how you kind of self-fund all of these missions that you do, and a lot of your finances comes from training, and you are world-renowned and known for your training, and we'll talk a little bit about the places that you're going and doing that kind of stuff. So now, your first mission that you got involved with was in the Dominican Republic, right?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
so.
Mhm.
I was going to
Go
say,
ahead.
so
Sorry.
folks that are listening, there is a little bit of delay going between us here, and so that's why there might be a little delay between answering questions and things like that. So, just kind of be patient with us. But yeah, so, and you were not working for the Anti-Trafficking Bureau. You hadn't started that yet. And so what year was like your first mission to going into Dominican Republic?
I came to the Dominican Republic in 2009. I felt the calling. I didn't know for what yet, but I know that you have to be obedient. Sometimes God called you to a place, but doesn't tell you fully what it is. Kind of like the intelligence agency do sometimes. They're like, okay, we have a mission here, but they don't tell you who the target is or whatever. But
Yeah.
to be obedient, I had a six-figure income in New York. Don't know, didn't know what I was going to get into, how I was going to, uh, supply food, room, board, whatever. But I just, I came to the Dominican Republic, um, which that's where I met my wife, which was my first encounter in anti-trafficking. She was a victim of trafficking, but I didn't know really too much about trafficking. Just what everybody sees, like in the movies and
Right.
television series, like Law and Order and stuff like that. So just like everybody knew about trafficking, that's what I know about trafficking, which is nothing.
Yeah.
Um, but when I was there on vacation with some NYPD personnel, and I just saw her in the corner, like a light shining on her, and there was probably 5 or 6 other girls there, but she was the only one I can see. But I
Hmm.
passed her by anyway, and one of my friends grabbed her and then said, come meet Fernando." So when I started conversing with her, I saw that, you know, she wasn't there at home will, because there's a difference between prostitution and victim of trafficking. Here in a lot of countries, prostitution is legal, so there is a fine line between them too.
Hmm.
Um, Seeing the psychological damage that she got and still have some to this day. This was over 15 years ago. I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Um, I started thinking like, okay, there's more of her out there. What can I do? But I got distracted. Started working on a gold mine, the biggest gold mine in the world, or one of the biggest gold mines in the world, and that's when I bumped into another person that does anti trafficking for another nonprofit, and he opened my eyes more into what this is all about. So that's how I got in 2017. Actually, is when I started Anti Trafficking Bureau.
Wow. I can't imagine marrying your first rescue. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
that only God can do that, right? I mean, it's just that's an amazing story right there.
Yes, because these victims or survivors, they feel not worthy, period, because of what they're doing. Because one
Yeah.
of the first things that traffickers do is the same tactic that Satan does, is that take your identity. So um, it took a process for me to bring her back. Like she dyed her hair blonde, had a different street name. Everybody called it by that street name. So little by little, you start believing you're that person and not the
Mm.
person you were born. So the first thing that I did was I said, "Well, what's the original color of your hair?" She said, "Black." So I tell her dyed it black. Started calling her, everybody by her real name. So it took a while, but that's these victims or survivors. They lose that sense of love, or like, how can someone love me now or take me seriously if I
Yeah.
has had to sleep with X amount of men per day? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and some of them start at such an early age that it's almost all they know, isn't it?
Yes, yes. We have a huge case. We rescued 13 minors, the 13-year old to 16, 17 years old. And they started probably earlier than that from actually, it was her uncle that started that whole thing. So you can imagine a family member.
Yeah.
Um, I, in my investigation, when it comes to minors, mostly the traffickers are someone from authority, from like a family member or a pastor or someone of authority that they supposed to trust.
Yeah. Wow. Well, you have rescued several hundred people through human trafficking and sex trafficking. Many of the people that have been involved in this have been caught and arrested through your
Hmm.
efforts. And so, what does a mission look like to you? If I was told that there's human trafficking going on, in my neighborhood or something like that, the first thing I'd want to do is like go in with guns blazing, and I know that's probably not the right thing to do, and but it sounds like you do. There's a lot of surveillance. There's a lot of planning that goes into this. And so, how long would a typical mission take from your initial phone call that, hey, something's going on here, to actually going in and doing a rescue? What does that all look like?
Yeah, the investigation. depends on the, let's see, the size of the network.
Hmm.
um, Operation Cataleya, for example, which was a rescue of one network of 80 victims, Colombian victims. That
Wow.
took 9 months, from beginning to end.
Wow.
But it really depends on the prosecutor, because sometimes the investigations, we can do the investigation in 3 or 4 days and get everything they need. But the prosecutor normally is what takes longer, because not only she needs to uh, 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 defend the victim, she needs to also play the devil advocate as well. So she needs to, like, her job is a little difficult. So, but it depends on them how long it takes for the prosecution. But as far as the investigation to the raid, I say on average 3 months on
Hmm.
average.
Yeah. Yeah. It's still a long time, and when you think of all the time and money that is spent on all of that, there's no. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no bounty on these people that you're trafficking. If you're a bounty hunter, you're getting paid for bringing somebody in. I'm guessing in your line of business, there's no paycheck at the end of that. You're doing the right thing, and you are all your money is being raised from outside.
Yeah, all the money is donors, organization, maybe, in order to pay my employees, because I do have full time investigators. I
Yeah,
have three full time investigators. I have a psychologist for the victims after the rescue. So we do have employees. I myself is not one, but um, it's there's no bounty, especially in other Latin countries. There's that doesn't even exist. Bounty hunter.
hmm,
Um, it's a little difficult.
yeah, for sure. I know you've been trying to establish an anti-trafficking bureau here in the U.S. For the
Hmm.
past year and a half or so.
Hmm.
How's that going? And it sounds like you've had some hiccups along the way, and well, you can kind of tell us like what some of those problems are.
No, the main problem is finding someone you trust, because this is like my child, Anti Trafficking Bureau,
Yeah.
and one bad apple can just spoil everything.
Hmm.
You can hire the wrong person, and that person probably can either sleep with a victim or hit the victim or something, and that's it. Your name is already done
Oh
for.
wow.
But we're close, really close to establishing it, maybe in the next 3 weeks or a month or so. And but it's for I don't think we're gonna operate there yet, but it's for bank purposes, because a lot of donors from the U.S. don't want to donate outside the U.S. So we need a,
Uh,
501(c)(3) in the U.S.
yeah.
so donors can donate there and there. So that's the main reason for now. And then eventually, depending on the next election, if I'm going to operate there or not, because the U.S. laws, there's different states, but they tend to be anti trafficking. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
kind of,
It's crazy, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. It's just crazy. And I've heard you say before that there would be no trafficking if there wasn't corrupt officials along the way. There has to be corruption for trafficking to take place.
Exactly. It has to be.
Yeah.
To be successful trafficking network, you need corruption.
Yeah. It's just nuts. So I've heard this might have been in your training that I took, and we'll get to the training opportunities here in a little bit. But I've heard you say that for people to get involved in this, you can be a doer, a donor, or a door opener. I think is what it was. And so I kind of wanted to go like in a little bit of detail, like where anybody could see themselves. Now, as a doer, you're obviously a doer. You're
Hmm.
doing all the hard stuff, and but is that the only part of a doer? Is somebody like you, or can somebody else be a doer in a different way? And what would that look
Oh
like?
yeah. Oh yes. You can do social media, because I'm not very great with marketing. so you can spread the news in social media. You can do awareness campaigns, teach your community, spread the word. Those are all doing. You're doing something
Mm-hmm.
to for the cause. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Open your mouth, basically, or go to, like I said, if you take the anti-trafficking course and you want to teach some of that to your local community, that's great, or to your church, that's great. That's doing. You know, and door openers are the ones that can't do nor donate, but they have contacts. They know someone that who can do this, or they know someone that can help you with this. That's some door openers. So
Yeah.
and the donors are obviously some people that don't.
Yeah. Um, so, can people also donate something besides money? And the reason I'm saying this, so I heard that you joined forces with Team Tebow's team a month or so ago, and you rescued a bunch of disabled people from Haiti, if I remember right. And
Yes.
you played a huge role in the background of all that. And I think you were supplying his organization with a lot of stuff, a lot of things. And I'm just wondering if that's something that people can donate as well as that need comes up. Or I guess money kind of fixes all that too, because you can buy what you need, obviously.
Yes, because if you ship something here, then it could get caught in customs because this is a third world country, or I have to pay a buttload of money just to take it out. So it's like buying it again. It all depends because at the end of the day, customs around the world are corrupt. They want to
Yeah.
hold your whatever hostage. They wouldn't. You're gonna, you either pay it or not. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
because I have things shipped and I receive half of it here, or none of it here. So I
Mm.
normally don't do have people send me stuff through the Dominican Republic for that reason because I
Yeah.
might or might not able to get it.
Yeah. I understand. Yes, I have a dear friend in Europe, in a European country, and I just can't send him things. I wish I could, because by the time it gets there, it's like mail's gone. It's been procured somewhere along the way there. So I get that. So you do a lot of training,
Uh,
like I said, to raise money for your missions. And so, who are you training, and what kind of training are you providing for them? Are you training law enforcement? Are you training the military? Are you training private organizations? Or you do it all?
Yeah, basically, I train law enforcement in hand-to-hand combat and also in undercover investigations and undercover operations. Um, Not only physical but online, like open source intelligence, how to search the social media for your target and or potential victims or victims, how to use the dark web,
Mm-hmm.
and military as well. I train special forces from different countries, private sector as well. So I try to do it all for to help with the missions or to put food on my table because I have a family. I have two kids, 6 and 9 year old, and I have my wife.
Mm.
So I have to be the man of the house and support them as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I do various trainings here and there, anti-terrorism and close protection as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So where's your next training taking place? So can you answer that?
I'll be in Ecuador the 2nd of June to June 9th. I'll be training close to 400 law enforcement
Oh
personnel over
wow.
there in Ecuador.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there a future mission that might take place there as
We have a
well, or?
contact there. Yeah, we have a contact there, a investigator in Ecuador that we help out, and we trying to expand to Colombia. Have contact in Colombia. Colombia is close to my heart to start operating over there because most of our victims are from Colombia.
Mm,
But to fund Colombia for the whole year would be like $75,000. So I'm trying to
mm,
raise that so I can Fund Colombia, which include investigator and two psychologists and missions and raids. That amount of money. So it's fairly. It seems a lot, but it's fairly cheap for a whole country for one
Right.
year. You know what I mean?
Oh,
But
yes,
that's
absolutely.
yeah. I'm trying to raise that amount, as soon as possible.
Yeah. Well, I hope this helps to that our audience here can help with that. That'd just be an awesome thing to do. Let's talk a little bit about victim services. So, well, you talked about your wife, for example. That was a long time ago when you rescued her,
Yeah.
and yet still today she experiences things, and I can only imagine what that would be like for somebody who was involved with that in that industry, of how it just messes your head up. And so when you rescue people, what is the process from there? Do they go into a safe house, or is
hmm
there a way to get them back into the civilized world, or the uh, you know back to their families or things like that? How does that all that work?
Yep, and it depends on the victim. Not all the victims are the same. Not all think the same. The hardest part is having them realize that they are a victim.
Mm,
Most of them don't know they are victims.
mm,
If you don't know you're a victim, then you will not receive help. It's the same as, if you don't know you're a sinner, then you won't ask for forgiveness, God. So you have to know first of all that you're a victim.
mm,
Um, After that, when we do the first initial rescue, we have them in a safe home, government safe home, for 15 days until we get all their statements and video recordings and stuff like that. Um, After that, it depends on them. If they want to go back home, we send them back home with a plane ticket or whatever. If they want to stay, we'll try to get them a work or something. If they want to start a business, we help start businesses with like 10 victims already. They have salons or nail salons.
mm,
One
mm,
has a Christian business.
mm.
So we help them in their business, but they have to show us that they're willing to change. Because most of them, it's not always a happy ending. Most of them return back to that lifestyle because they saw how easy the money was, even though it was not what they were promised, but they were still making a lot more, like $20 for a Colombian victim. It's a lot of money in Colombia. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
um, they rather do that than go back and do nothing again. They came for a
yeah,
reason. They
yeah,
got lied to. They want to work a legitimate job to help out their grandmother or son. They came for a reason because they didn't have the opportunity in their country. But we try to give them the opportunity in their country by having a business. But it depends on them, like if they're willing to change, because we're not
yeah,
going to invest in bad soil either. We're not going to put seed in bad soil either. So it all depends.
yeah. And you have somebody in your organization that kind of runs that uh,
Yes.
victim services for you?
Yes, she
Yeah.
is great. She's a believer. She had helped five of them convert, see that Jesus is their Lord and Savior. A
Mm,
lot of them just gave up on God, thinking like, why He puts me through this. But with her love, patience, and compassion, they were able to see God. And I asked her to work for me because her younger sister, got trafficked to Italy, and they were looking for help with law enforcement here and in Italy, and they didn't get it. So her aunt knows me, and she called me for help. Well, I said, send me all the information. One of the photos that her sister took was a certificate on the wall. Based on that certificate, I was able to find his brother, who was a famous tennis player in Italy, and then the very
wow.
next day they were able to rescue her.
Oh my
So
goodness.
yeah, so she's a psychologist, so I wanted her because I know that she's gonna do it with her heart to get like, because her sister went through it. I always said,
Yeah.
if you want to help, you need to have a why. Why do you want to help? I'm not talking about donors. Donors can help because they want to donate, but
Sure.
if you want to like volunteer or want to be in the organization, I need to know why. Because if you don't
Mm-hmm.
have a story,
Mm-hmm.
if it's just I want to help, that I just want to help is not gonna last long. It
Yeah.
happens what a lot of churches, for example, excuse me, when the problem of Haiti was happening after the Haitian president was killed, a lot of missionaries went to Haiti. Then Afghanistan happened. Then people from Haiti or the mission or the church or whatever wanted to go to Afghanistan and help out there. But what happened to Haiti? Haiti's still going on.
Yeah.
Then Ukraine happened. Everybody forgot about Afghanistan. Everybody talked about
Mm.
Ukraine, but Afghanistan is still happening. So if
Yeah.
you shift your "I just want to help," it will never help. It'll just go from place to place to place to place, from one
Yeah.
crisis to the other.
Mm. So you mentioned Italy, Haiti, um, several other countries, and I think in your training it also talks about that countries kind of have a what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, well, they're either countries that are bringing in the traffickers or they're passing through. I think transit is the word you used, or they're the place of origin or something like that. Can you just kind of tell us a little bit about
Mhm.
what that means and what is how those how that works within the countries?
Yeah, sometimes a country, let's say like Colombia, we receive Colombian women here. So Colombia is the place of origin, and the destiny is Dominican Republic. Where they're going to transit through is through Panama. A lot of victims transit through Panama to go to Mexico, to go to U.S., to go to other
Mm.
countries. So Panama has human trafficking, but it's mostly transit. You're just
Mm.
passing through.
Yeah.
The origin is West Dominican Republic. So like that's where the victims are going to stop and be exploited. I mean, the destiny, sorry, that where they're
Yeah.
going to stop and be exploited. So origin is where the country is. So like Haiti to Dominican, Haiti will be the origin. Dominican Republic will be the destiny. Or if they're going to go to Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic is the transit.
Yeah. Wow. Well, it's quite an involved racket, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, so a question I got the other day
Hmm.
was, what are the most obvious signs that people should be looking for if someone is being trafficked? And I know some of this is in your training that we'll get to here in just a little bit, but I think that's a question that kind of pops up on everybody's mind. Like, if I see something and it's just like I can tell something's off, what would what are
Yeah.
those obvious signs? Number one, and then what do we do about it?
Yeah, first off, trust your intuition. If something's off, it's because something's off. Something is not normal or something that you're normally not seeing. If you go to Starbucks, for example, and you see normally people ordering drinks or whatever, but if it's a little girl near a guy, and the guy is a lot older than her, okay, it could be the father, but if she seems like not too close or a little hesitant or whatever, then that's not normal. So one is that traffickers normally speak for the victims. Like let's say you're speaking to the girl, it could be adult female or little girl, and the trafficker will answer the questions.
Uh,
Okay, these are signs, not necessarily that it's trafficking. You need to put two or three together in order
right.
to,
Yeah.
which the course speaks about it. But because it could be a domestic violence abuser too, because they do the same thing. They talk for their wife or
Hmm.
whatever. um, Lack of identification, doesn't know where they are, because if your traffic is from one country to the other, or one county to the other, or one
Yeah.
province to the other, maybe they don't even know where they are. You know what I mean?
Yep.
um, Lack of money. Now, if you're going to do investigations and you ask her, okay, how much is it? She says 250, or the guy says $250, and okay, do I pay her? Say no, you have to pay me. That's a sign, because prostitution, you pay the person herself.
Uh,
But when it's trafficking, you pay the third person. You know what I mean? He gets
mm-hmm.
the money, pays her whatever he wants to pay
Mm.
her. She doesn't have say so of who she sleeps with, how many times, because here or Latin American countries, period, you have to minimum have to sleep with 15 guys a day. Doesn't matter if you have your period, you're hungry, if you're sick, you have to
Oh my
sleep
goodness.
with minimum 15 guys a day.
A
So
minimum.
with prostitution, yeah, minimum. With
Wow.
prostitution, you choose who you sleep with, you choose your hours, so it's a difference. But when you get into it, you will understanding more. If they take the training and then start getting into human trafficking more, you will understand more, and your intuition will be a lot spot on. Will be spot on.
Yeah. Wow. That is just crazy. Well, let's take a look at. You sent me a couple slides, so let's take a
Mhm.
look at some of these and kind of walk us through what we're looking at here.
Yep, those are my investigators.
All right, number one, I want to know: do you sell merch? Because that hat is awesome, and I want one. I love that thing.
I don't sell it because I will send you one. I'll have Jennifer send you one, but I don't sell it because I know other nonprofits do. But then I think security minded. If I have someone biting ATB shirt and hat, and then they can go anywhere saying they're ATB
Uh,
investigator or ATB this.
yeah,
So to me, it doesn't make sense. Why would you want to sell your logos? But
yeah.
I know they want to make other nonprofits want to make money, whatever. But for me, I don't do that. But I do. I can have
I
Jennifer send you one. Yes.
I totally get that. Well, you don't need to do that, but I just it's an awesome looking shirt or a hat. So
Yes, this is us collaborating with the SWAT. We have trained the SWAT unit. I'm actually active SWAT right now in the Dominican Republic, but we trained them in entering in into buildings and doing cutting the corners based on human trafficking because they have to be sensitive to the victims. When they see the victims, don't treat them as the bad guys. But this was actual operation. This was Operation Catalea. This was a hotel of 6 floors, so there were about probably 60 something doors that they had to get kicked down that day. But this was one of the 14 places that we hit that day.
okay,
Okay, that's the front of that same hotel. That's the front, and we taken out a victim there. That's one of my agents there in blue, and
mm-hmm.
with the SWAT unit, and that's one of the victims that we're escorting her to the bus.
Mm.
That's one of the businesses in Colombia that we helped start from one of the victims, or should I say survivor. She has her own
Yeah,
salon, beauty salon, and that's the name of her beauty salon.
that is very cool.
That's
You,
another survivor that she converted through my psychologist, and she started a T-shirt and hat business for Christian wear or Christian merch.
yeah, very nice.
That's one of the minors I was talking about. We put her through a trade school for to do nails and massage hands, and the before she had a bite mark there. She was only 15 years old at that time, so she was trafficked. Um, it was actually Americans that were basically soliciting for her, or trafficker to bring her and a bunch of minors to
Yeah,
them. Um, there's a rich area here that Americans and politicians like to rent. So, anyways, she was a victim, and now she's a survivor. So
yeah,
we she still go. We still she's very sick as well inside, and we bring her to medical
yeah.
clinics and stuff like that because she got like a HIV virus through the trafficking.
Mm, wow. So that bite mark was that from like a client or how does that
No, the
happen?
trafficker.
The trafficker. Oh my gosh, so sad.
Yeah, that you're. I just you're
Yeah.
already explaining that. That's written there. Okay.
Yep.
That one as well. I explained.
Yep. There she
That's
is
the
again.
photo. Doing the search for the arrest of a suspect.
Hmm.
That was a baby of 6 months that we found alone when we went to do a raid on a mother that's trafficking her daughter and her daughter's friend. That's actually her daughter's baby. Her daughter is 16 years old, and we went to two different houses when we came to this particular one. That 6 months year old, or was it nine? Well, 6 or 9 month, was alone in the bed, just like how you see it there.
Wow. Hmm.
This is one of my other agents with a German national, excuse me, um, part of a international pedophile ring. He has sex with children, especially Haitian children. Films it and put it up in the dark web.
Wow.
3 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, he committed suicide in the jail cell.
Wow. My goodness.
This is myself and my team. We train Homeland Security agents, 40 of them, in human trafficking investigations.
Very nice.
This is she is contracted by me. She got trained by FBI, CIA stuff, and disguises. So when we go deep on the cover, we get disguises done by her.
Oh, she's putting a beard on. That looks like.
Yes,
Ah, okay. Very good. The first time I saw that picture, I thought maybe that's a chiropractor you brought in or something. But it's it's for disguises. I like that.
just a photo of me training undercover
Mm-hmm.
operations. I think it's a drug enforcement unit.
Mm.
This was a human smuggling that was going to turn into human trafficking. We rescued a lot of kids, and this were Haitian personnel. I think in total was, I think, 29 in total. So there was under very bad conditions, like in a small, like all of them packed up in a small housing, and
Mm.
it was getting ready to ship to another part of the Dominican Republic.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned human trafficking. So not all human trafficking is sex trafficking. A lot of it can be forced labor, slavery, right?
Yes, forced labor, forced marriages, domestic labor, organ trafficking, smuggling is under the umbrella of human trafficking. They're two different spectrums, but human smuggling can turn into human trafficking.
Yeah.
So yeah, human trafficking is not only sex trafficking; it's the majority, but it's not only that.
Mm.
This was in Ecuador. It was on Valentine's Day actually, and these were minors that were trafficked. And I went to teach them self defense with babies in their arms because they all have kids. So how to do self defense while you have the kid in your arm. And I gave each survivor a rose for Valentine's Day. So let them know that God thinks they're special, God loves them, and they're not alone.
Yeah. So all these girls have kids, have babies. Is that what you said?
Yes.
So how old are these girls in the picture? Do you think?
They're anywhere from 12 to 17 years old.
Yeah. Wow. Well, you do amazing work, Fernando.
Thank you.
All right, so I was doing a little extra research and found this on your Facebook page, and you became an ordained minister.
Yes,
When did that take place?
I think 3 years ago. Yep, about 3 years ago when I met George. In the Christian circuit they call me Reverend Rambo, so
Yeah.
that's my Christian name, Reverend Rambo. But yeah, I got ordained, and I'm a Reverend. I'm not too big with titles and stuff. It's like in martial arts, I'm a 10th degree black belt, but I normally don't say I'm a 10th degree black belt. The ranks, titles, I'm just a child of God and a servant.
Yeah.
That's my real title.
Wow. Well, so here's a picture of Reverend Rambo right here, and and you wrote a book and actually checked out that QR code up there, and that does take you to where you can purchase that book. So if anybody is interested, and so you want to just give us a little preview of what that book's all about?
Yes, I have. I wrote another book called Jesus Christ and My Bodyguard, but then I discontinued it because I need to add something there that I didn't. Like why, if God protects you, then why there's a lot of Christian missionaries that die or some stuff like that. So I need to add that to that book. But this particular one, my books are always geared to a certain audience that normally doesn't hear the gospel. Like I try to teach them the gospel in their terminology. So this is
Yeah.
basically for people who go to the gym or weight lift, because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of them that goes to the gym, weight lift or whatever, they have a certain identity issue or stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. So I basically um, tell them about the Bible and God through weightlifting terminology, but it also serves for non-weightlifters, Christians alone, to how to comparing weightlifting to our faith lifting. It's a process.
Mm.
It's not like once you get saved, that's it. It's a process. You go to the gym, when you work out, your muscle starts ripping there through the stress of the training, but it doesn't stop there. You need to rest, you need to eat well, um, all that stuff to get muscle. So for us to get faithfully muscle, we need to rest in God's promises, we need to eat God's word. That's our protein. So stuff like that I talk about in the book.
Yeah. Oh, very good. Very good. One last slide I wanted to show, and this is going to your website, and it looks like you just updated it. Looks good.
Yeah, my vice president did. He wanted a little change, and
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, "Yeah, no problem." But yeah, that's where the donate buttons are. We need, we have victims literally right now that needs help um, with even groceries and stuff. So if anybody out there that's listening, if you want to donate, you do get, if you do it through the U.S., even though ATB in itself is not a 501c3, we have a third party called EquipNet.
Mm.
And EquipNet, you get your tax deductions through them. So it's an easy process, and just yeah, please do it. Like what costs a hamburger nowadays or Starbucks
Right.
can go along for a victim of trafficking.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. So here is obviously the donate button. So for those of us in the U.S., you can hit the button right there, and so anything that goes through this site is a taxable, or you can get a tax receipt for it, and over here, if you go to more and get trained, there is a training course that Fernando has put together, and I took it, and I've got my certificate right here, got my name on it, and so yeah, and it takes about 40 minutes to go through this, and it costs $10. It's ridiculous, and such awesome content. If this is something that you have been interested in and getting more involved with, or just getting knowledge, like we talked about earlier, if I see something how, if I trust my intuition that something isn't right, what do I look for? What do I do? A lot of that stuff is in that training. And so if you just click here on the register, then there's an opportunity for you to do that. And again, it's like $10 for that training. It's like very, very valuable. You get a cool certificate at the end of it. And but most of all, it's how you can help fund these missions that Fernando goes on, and super important. So, yeah. Anything you want to add to that, Fernando?
No, like I said, it's 40 minutes of your time. I know because of Facebook and Instagram, time is like people tend they have a lot of time, but they think they don't. Because I
Yeah,
had like through Mark Z's 1,000 people registered, but only 300 completed it. So
yeah,
they just complete it and learn about it and spread it. That's the whole concept of this.
yeah. Well, so probably the best thing that everybody can do that is listening to this podcast is to share it on your social media and get the word out there that there is an opportunity for us to get trained in it and up our knowledge and obviously become more aware of what's going on in this arena. So,
Yes.
Fernando, is there anything that you want to close with? I appreciate your time, and this has just been awesome for me to get to talk to you and meet you. And I've been a big fan, and I hope we can continue to talk and find out what's been going on, your successes, and even trials and things like that. We need to know that kind of thing too.
Oh yes, definitely. Thank you. Yeah, if anybody want to reach out, don't think that what can I do? I can't do nothing as far as human trafficking concerned. That's not a lie. Everybody has something to offer. I always tend to think of Ehud from the Bible,
Mm.
left-handed. Everybody thought that he surprised everybody because everybody was waiting for a right hand attack and he attacked from the left hand. So everybody has something to offer. You can reach out to Jennifer at anti-traffickingbureau.org because she's in the U.S., so it's easier for her to contact you than I. Sometimes I'm undercover for weeks or months, but contact her and see what we can do.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, Jennifer's great. I've enjoyed meeting her as well. So anyway, well, Fernando, thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank
You're in
you.
our prayers for sure, and can't wait to hear about some more of your successes as you go along. So, thank you again,
Sure.
and thank you
Thank
everybody
you.
for watching this. And again, the best thing you can do is to share this on your social media, get the word out, and just even with your family and stuff like that, gather them around and just understand what human trafficking is all about, because it could be taking place right next door to you and you wouldn't even know it. So,
Yes.
that being said,
Thank you.
thank you, Fernando. God bless you, and
Yeah.
we'll catch you in the future. All
Yes,
right,
sir.
bye
Thank you.
bye.